Please welcome Brother Denis Lemelin from the Canadian Union of Postal Workers.
And in some ways, I'm in the same. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers is the same orientation in the Longshore. We are a union who all the times always fight, not only to improve the working condition of the workers, not only to really fight to change what's happening politically here around Canada, but we're not afraid to say what we think, what we have to do to change the world and make the world better for everybody. And it's our fight for the last 43 years. As a union, we represent 56,000 members all over the country. By what happened 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, I was one of the speakers in the October 18 peace rally or anti-war rally around Afghanistan in Ottawa. And I was talking about why it's so important for the labor movement to be there, to be in the front, and to be with all the people who want to have a different society and feel that one of the most important things it's peace, to have a world in peace. So I explained that, why it's important, and at the same time I say because there was not a lot of people there. So 3-5 years ago there was a lot of people. We were less than 300 people there, and people feel why were so many people here this morning. And I said to people, okay, so I would just share with you what we did with our membership around the issue. So I said 2 weeks ago, before October 18, we sent a bulletin to all our members explaining what's happening, why it was important to be out there October 18, to explain to them that peace is important and fighting against war in Afghanistan and fighting to have the troops back here to the country was something important. And I said to them, maybe they're not here today, but at the same time, they are with us. They are with us because in some ways, every day there's someone getting up and talking about the fact that we have to fight against war and we have to fight for peace. And I said, that's really important. So we can be 300, but all over, every day there's someone doing something. So, and people say, okay, maybe it's that. And the day after, I went to my office, and I have a message on my phone. And the message was really clear that someone was yelling at me for being a union leader and talking about peace. And he finished, he said, the caller said, I should just stick to postal issue. Mm-hmm. That's supposed to be my life as a union leader too, just as a postal workers, just to talk about postal issue. And we talk about postal issue. It's something important because in the last 35 years we had maybe 3, 4, 5 strike to protect the public service. But at the same time, that gave me, okay, so that's something important. And in some ways, I had the same reflection when I came here. In some ways, there's two aspects of it. The first aspect, it's the peace movement is something large. And the labor movement is something large too. There's a lot of workers, a lot of people fighting for the peace movement. But the only way we can change what's happening around the world is to be together in the same fight. Not the peace people, the peace group on one side and the labor movement on one side. And sometimes that's the impression that people have. You're a worker, you just stick to worker issue. You're a peace person, you just stick to the peace issue. But that's not the reality. And that's why in our union we are fighting to railing both of them. To railing the fight for peace and linking with the fight for the workers. Because it's the same fight. We're talking about globalization, we're talking about privatization, we're talking about deregulation. But we know who profit of that. It's not the worker, it's not the people, it's not the citizen. It's big corporation who use all these tools against us. And the war is part of it. all the military issue, all the military system, big corporation. They make money on the back of the soldier, but on the back of the population too. And that's for me one of the most important things. It's to find ways how we can all work together, and that we don't receive message saying, as postal worker, you have to stick to that issue. And as a peace person, you have to stay and just talk about peace. And I think that's maybe the most challenging idea now, that we have to, how we can work together, how we can find ways and show that peace is one of the most important things about what's happening in this world. And I think that's the kind of idea we have to share. And I'm really happy to be here to share about this idea. And on that, I was thinking about, I came to listen to Tariq Ali last evening, and he was talking about the fact that when Barack Obama will be president of the state in January, that the peace movement has to be there. The peace movement has to be there in his face to show that we want peace. We want peace in Iraq. We want peace in the world. And to remind him that, that he has to do something around it, and he has to act accordingly of what he said to people. This moment, there's a big change in the state. We'll see what will happen. But at the same time, we have the responsibility as the working class, and if we are proud to be in the working class, and I'm sure we are proud to be part of it, we have to find ways to develop an international program to really say, we don't need this kind of system. We need a system who really is there to support the people, and we need a system who is built on peace. Thank you.